worked us to the bones.
They really did.
Root guys are savages, man. They just keep going, keep going, keep going. They don't
machines.
care. They're machines.
Loved having Root. And love having this guy in our league, starting in the bottom center in the purple. Also playing Terran, it is Root Masa, also known as Morrow Kim. A lot of people might confuse him with Morrow Prime. No, it's a different Morrow. Although Morrow Prime is impressing everyone with his great control and crisis management. Andre, please tell me you saw that, like that GSL
I have
defense.
no clue what you're talking about.
That's too bad. I
don't know about any circling all-ins going into a Terran base on Entomb Valley.
Yeah, did you see the one where he also split on Antigua Shipyard?
No, I didn't.
Man, that was something. Let me tell you, man. I'll be telling people about that kind of play for a while. And that's kind of like the beginning of the upper echelons of the skill ceiling. Because a lot of people wonder, like, man, is StarCraft 2 really to have that good of a skill ceiling? Yeah. If you can do stuff like that, you'll never lose. Never. Like, if you can do that consistently every single time, optimize your units. And that just goes to show you that clumping is something that people can deal with. And I'm really excited for the game's promises.
All right. In the mid-right-hand position as the red Zerg, we have Morrow, as he is down 0-1 currently, but he's been a long-time contender in the North American Star League. He's been in Season 1, 2, and 3. So as a veteran, I think he has a lot to actually hold on his shoulders. I feel like the newcomers, though, in this league have been just honestly smashing like every single one of the old veterans. Like Zenio against, who was it? Zenio against...
Are you talking about the ZVZ? The Xeon vs. Galaxy?
Hyun.
Oh yeah, Hyun's destroying people. Violet's doing really well. I mean, some of the stalwarts are still doing well, like Hux was doing well. Everyone saw Polt 3-0. But yeah, just some of the new blood has been wrecking everyone. And yeah, maybe Masa's 1-1, but still, like, Masa's is a phenomenal talent. And if you haven't watched this series where he played against EG or you saw any of other Root's matches, you should, because Masa is one of the 3 core people for Root. It's him, Vibe, and Major. And then they kind of like rotate a 4th player in, whether it's Todd or Puck. Rotterdam, who might be playing against Team Slayers. We don't know. You guys will find out. No, Rotterdam's like, let me play against Slayers. You won't regret it. And he's like, you don't understand, man. We have to make sure we get in the playoffs. And he's like, well, you don't know for now because I haven't been playing in team leagues.
Exactly. He's like, well, put me in, coach, and you will go to the
Exactly. Put me in, and you don't have to worry about whether or not you go to the playoffs. He's like, that's right, because we won't get into the playoffs. And then Kevin's like, no, that's not the case. No, that's what Katz was saying. So.
Yeah, I know.
But no, Masa's one of those 3 core anchors to Root. And of course, when the 4th guy rotates, they sometimes go to Masa for the ace. And that should tell you a lot of how much confidence, not just he should have, but his team has in him.
That's right. I mean, Masa is definitely one of Root's best players. And Root has been telling me that they lack an ace player right now. They're lacking, you know, that liquid hero or that liquid Tasia right now that can just give you that win every single time. And it's hard. It's definitely hard to find someone like that, but you know, maybe Masa will actually prove to be that person, as he's doing so well in the North American Star League so far. He's opened up, by the way, with just a really 1 base. This is an old school style of play, but Morrow was able to see everything that happened. Not only was he able to see the gas count and really stop his opponent from getting that 2nd extractor, but he was able to see pretty much that the command center was imminent as well. But here we have it. Masa's trying to get in here. This is a little bit risky.
The drones are doing a pretty good job avoiding the Hellions.
Very
and
nice.
Morrow gets out with only 6 drones. So that's actually not bad. Masa does have an SCV repairing, and he is trying to contain the creep spread, which is very nice. Good pullbacks and making sure to optimize. Well, almost optimize everything.
Morrow's been a little bit risky here. Normally when you see Hellions out this fast, you're going to put down some sort of spine crawler for that added DPS. You don't want these Hellions living for that long, but he's been just using queens, and yeah, queens are good, but I would have preferred a spine crawler because they can just DPS these Hellions down so fast. You can see they're doing just so much damage. Oh my god!
The drones are lining up! Oh, Andre!
15 workers killed so far now.
That was a money stream shot.
I found the
there.
Hellion that did it all, by the way. 7 kills on that one.
Wow. That guy's definitely... Every other Hellion's like, wow, KSer. And they're like, man, report my teammate, please, for KS.
I put in a shot. I put on in the shot, and you just KS'd all of a sudden.
Yeah, and the other Helens are so mad because there's no assist system.
I know.
They're like, man, I should be having assists. And the other guy's like, no, man, I carry you guys so hard.
It's cool. I'm the corporal. You guys are the recruits.
They're like, man, he got all the kills. He gets to buy so many sick items when he goes back to the command center. He gets to buy Blue Flame upgrade.
No, he'll buy it for everybody, dude. Yeah. It's cool.
It'll be really cool. Actually, that'd be really cool, like if you could like gold share between different units and MOBAs. But that'd also be really broken.
That'd be imbalanced.
Masa is playing very well in terms of just pressuring, and the Hellions have done their job. It's again, just like you said, Andre, it's the old school build. But what's the transition from here for Masa? Is this double engineering bay the appropriate thing, especially since he sees no third base? Is that a little bit risky, considering that he's investing so much gas, and it's very clear Morrow's not going to expand?
You know what, I think this is actually fine. A lot of the tech builds that you do as Zerg in this stage, they're what? Infestors or Mutas? Mutas, well, both of which are very harassment-based. I mean, Infestors, yes, you can harass with them, but they're better defensively. Mutas, they are harassment-based. Nothing of real power, so I feel like these engineering bays are pretty safe. The only thing he has to worry about is a Zergling Baneling like all in, which happened already last game. So I think Masa's response by going these two E-bays, it's correct. But I do feel like there is a little bit of lack. No, I think his build is overall really, really powerful. And this is why. Metropolis, it's just such a big map, man. I mean, you really have to prepare. Mutas aren't really that good because it's a big map. That's kind of weird to say, but you invest, let's say, 1,000 gas and 1,000 minerals into 10 Mutalisks, and then trek across the map, and you're there probably 10 to 20 seconds later than normal. And that really, really hurts you. That's a round of marine production. That's the difference between turrets being up and turrets not being up. So I feel like Infestor play is correct, because remember, you want to receive the damage, you get that extra bit of energy, and then you can have more fungals, more infested Terrans. You're just in a better position.
Well, the position currently stands that Masa still has a very substantial macro advantage. Yes, Morrow is up in workers, but he's on 2 base. That's full saturation. And Morrow gets a little bit more because he has mules, so he's able to harvest just slightly better. And Morrow, when you're on equal economy to your opponent, it's going to be put in a tough position. From here, Morrow is adding on Infestors, the support unit that allows you to lock down units, but he's also incorporating Banelings, which is kind of cool. A lot of people have been trying to skimp on Banelings, go Zergling, Infestor, and just use the fungal plus the Zergling DPS to hit everything down. But Morrow, I mean, incorporating Banelings is really key, especially for your early game defense if you sense a push coming in. And I think this is a good move.
Banelings are also exceptionally good against drops. A lot of times, you know, you have to send a ton of Zerglings just to clear up a drop. It just matters if they like get nooked in, like this position. Let's say all the Marines were able to be placed there. Obviously, you know, Zerglings would have a very hard time, but all of a sudden you have Banelings. You don't have to send so many units, which actually helps because it won't displace all of your army, so that it empowers some sort of timing push. That being said, Morrow is still behind, and there is no pressure that's being done. So a lot of his Banelings are kind of useless at this point, but he's just being very comprehensive in his defense.
Yep, the drop from Masa just to kind of poke his opponent is about to land while he secures his own 3rd base. So this is, again, just to draw attention away from any kind of force cancel. Oh, Morrow has a few Overlords that were caught in position as well. He's supply block. That's going to be annoying. And Masa also gets a good scout of his opponent, sees the Infestor count, sees the energy buildup, sees Hive already morphing. And that's going to give him a good sense of when he can or can't push.
That's right, and it should be that 2-2 timing too. I mean, I don't know if he actually expects this Hive to be out immediately, but I like this push-out time. It's about 1.5 minutes until 2-2 finishes. You need that time to actually take a lot of space. Space is really hard to take on Metropolis, so I don't blame him for actually pushing out this fast. Forces his opponent to actually make a lot of units, which detracts from getting those Broodlord tech or even Ultralisk tech. And from there, he's in a good position. Nice fungal goes down, though. Double fungal.
But his Banelings don't have speed.
Oh, wow. That's so...
yeah.
If he waited like a half second more, he would have killed all those Marines.
All these Marines are at 2 hit points, and there's only 2 medevacs, and one of them is being super rebellious, so There's only 1 medevac to heal all the Marines right now, so Masa is still pushing forward, and his Marines will get cleaned up, but Morrow has burned a lot of his energy, and his Banelings are no longer on the field. Masa also drops to top center and is able to force to cancel, so Morrow sending more units up there. Multi-pronged aggression dropping the main as well. Masa is everywhere, Andre.
That's right, and it's a really good job by him. Very interesting to actually incorporate a siege tank here, but wow, he actually cleans up all the infested Terrans.
Nice.
And now he has a little bit of coverage on that top ground. So let's go ahead and check into 2. Has finished. Wow. It's perfect.
Andre, some of the infestations that popped also getting picked off. This one tank being incredibly valuable. 1 tank for 3 infestors is incredibly cost efficient. And Masa still has his anchor point right below the main. Sure, things have been cleaned up, but Morrow, a lot of the stuff that's supposed to work in favor of him in terms of time is not coming to his benefit. His hive tech hasn't kicked in. His infestors have been even killed or used out of energy. He has no banelings left. And Masa's position is just incredibly strong, and there's no way to root him out of it.
That's right, and this is the power of 2-2. Wow. When you have an economic advantage, you're able to just have so many options with your attacks. Dude, I would love to see an infestor count on this game. I mean,
like how many killed?
How many killed?
There were 10 at one point. There's only 1 left. And Masa still pressuring the main. More tanks are on the way. He's now on 3 tank production. 34 Marines are also still on the field. Masa still pushing in slower. He knows if he can get to the production line, he'll be great. But his saving grace might be these Broodlords if they're able to get onto the field in time. They just started morphing. And if the Marines can get there, they should be able to whittle it down. Oh,
it's so tough, though. He sees them, and he's still inching forward with those siege tanks, which actually help quite substantially. But you can see everything is drying out quite a bit. And we're going to see, oh my god, the Broodlords!
There's nothing to protect them, Andre. The Marines are going straight into the fray, and there are 0-0 Broodlords against 2-2 Marines. The first very brave patch of Marines were able to take out 1 or 2 of them. But Morrow doesn't really have any support. He has no way to lock down the Marines. Masa does pack his bags and go on home. Wow. So Morrow actually holds. And Masa backs off, and that's a good decision. Don't lose your tanks if you don't have the support for them.
That's right, but when it comes down to it, Broodlords, how effective can they actually be on Metropolis, especially when they're in defensive positions? You might be able to hold off defensively, but offensively, you're not going to be able to do anything. That's why Masa is just saying, okay, well, I don't have to worry. I can actually take map control, take this position, and just shark around and make it so hard for you to position your Broodlords or even your units effectively. What's up?
Sorry, no, I understand. Your explanation was completely right. I was just saying that there's 2 Vikings that took out 1 Broodlord. Oh, another small pack of Marines taking another one. And it's because Morrow really had only 4 Corruptors for anti-air. And I didn't see the Corruptors, so I wasn't sure if he was just going to kill 5 Broodlords with 2 Vikings.
That would have been sick. But again, taking out another Broodlord. No, wow. Very close there, 23 hit points. That's not a lot more. Morrow doing a very fantastic job of actually keeping space, making sure those Broodlords are safe, but for the most part, I mean, you can see Morrow is really struggling here. Again, 2 Vikings coming over here. They can actually do a lot of damage.
Morrow's committing, Andre. And this can be the battle that decides almost everything. The Marines are coming for a flank as well, but Morrow crushes the front army with great Zergling Baneling as well as a fungal to lash down the armies. So Masa's battle was not able to really gain too much ground. Morrow does hold, but he loses a lot of creep spread. That was one thing that was implicitly keeping Morrow in the game because of how much space he controlled through creep spread. Now Masa has 4 bases. And this is getting out of control. Like Masa's macro is absolutely absurd. You see how low he's keeping his resources despite having incredible amount of orbitals.
Yeah, I do want to mention Morrow's macro as well. I mean, through all this aggression, he's been able to take 2 additional bases, his 4th base and his 5th base. That's very impressive. Under all this tension, all this stuff that's going on, I mean, it's hard to control Broodlord and Fester, man. And when you're doing it at this level and macroing at the same time, that really shows a lot to me.
I completely agree. Morrow has been able to really make a strong defense thus far. He's at 100 drones, though. Needs to kind of be cautious. Of course, he's making some spine crawlers, but still, even 90 drones in this position is a little bit tough. He's trying to maximize as much of his economy. His main is pretty much dried, so he's on 4 base, roughly. He's getting able to push through, but his infestors are all going into front.
Oh, gosh, he did not control those well. He gets 1 fungal growth before actually losing everything, basically. Broodlords are going to go down because of this, and now look at this. He loses this critical space where all the bases are connected to each other. That means the Zerglings will not be able to attack as a single punch. I feel like Zerg really need to do that. It's so hard to actually, I guess, like, adjust your units to go in the right places at all times when they're coming on 2 different angles at 2 different times. That's really, really unfortunate.
And this is starting to have the snowball effect because of things are trying to make right in the face of Terran. Masa's shooting at Broodlords that are morphing. He does have a big rally distance. You know, that's kind of the advantage of Metropolis. It's a very long way to get to your opponent's base. And Morrow's doing as best he can, being cost efficient, but his units are getting picked off individually. He's trying to set up a spine crawler wall as well, but now, actually, Masa's tank count has been kept in check as well. Morrow's still doing a very good job holding, but it's still tough because he's losing Broodlords to the Vikings.
Oh, man.
He can't afford to lose all of this. This represents so much of his gas.
Such a shame. And he will get a queen over here. He does transfuse. Nicely done, but still, it's not going to be enough. These 2 Broodlords. Poor Broodlords, man. They are getting absolutely...
They need to kind of stay in place, though, because the Vikings are able to kind of cut it.
And then we have another round of units coming in here. Marines and Marauders. I think that's going to be the crushing blow. I don't see how Morrow can actually defend this. He doesn't have the units in the right place. Top of that, the Fungals are just not plentiful enough. There all the Zerglings go. Frodan. Masa is on fire, man. This guy.
He's going to get 3-3 before they finish as well. That's going to be huge. Morrow, I mean, yeah, sure, you can make a case that he still has, I mean, he's in a very bad spot, but those kinds of upgrades are so effective against the 3-3 army as well. And Morrow is not able to really do anything to protect himself. The Marines and Marauders with the natural killing almost everything. Now it's going to work on the texture, just like the Greater Spire. An engagement once again outside the natural ramp. But Masa has just way too much stuff. The Infested Terrans can't hold. A couple more Broodlords are getting picked off as soon as they spawn. This game has been extremely scrappy, Andre, but in the end, Masa claiming inch after inch, and now he's at the face of Morrow, about to take him out.
That's right. I mean, Morrow has never been able to stabilize this game. Constantly, Masa is putting pressure on with Marines, with Marauders, with Siege Tanks, with Medevacs, and this is very, very weathering over a course of time. I mean, you can see the erosion of the Zerg base, not only in the creep thread, but also in the base count and the infestor count and everything, man. And now look at this, like, we can definitely see just Morrow falling apart here. This is a very uncomfortable situation to be in. And Masa is just going to continue on and really, I guess, thrust the dagger inside Morrow.
What can you do? I mean, Morrow's now lost a significant part of his tech. He's lost not only his Greater Spire, but he's going to lose his Hive and all of his things like his Infestation Pit and the Spawning Pool. Masa pushing more forward. He's got 5 bases now, and Masa's not showing any signs of relenting because he's got full production going on. He's got an incredible amount of barracks, and he's just reinforcing non-stop. There's nothing really that Morrow can do. He loses, again, more infestors. These small packs of units have been able to pick off 1, maybe even 2 infestors, and he's never had the time to accrue energy. Supply count says almost everything as Morrow's going down and Masa's still maxed.
And this is what we were talking about. Morrow has that fighting spirit that he just does not want to give up. He has his bases, but now Masa's going to start working on the fresh ones, and that's where things just go downhill. He's going to kill this one base over here, and that should do it. I mean, I don't see how Morrow can actually do anything from here. GG gets called out, and Masa will take game number 2, giving him the 2-0 record right here today.
Very, very well done by Masa. I mean, Masa is just like, that's just like raw macro. Because you're trading non-stop and microing and still taking bases. Both players did that phenomenally, so Morrow played a great series. But when you're trading that much and your supply count's still going up while his is going down, like that's kind of like raw macro. Because I was looking at his production, it was like 1 unit in a building at a time. That kind of stuff is like Brood War-esque in the sense where you're able to just have more than your opponent while taking tempo away from your enemy. It was awesome to watch.
You know, and if you want to stabilize, I feel like Ultra's tech is a much better tech in that particular game. Because think, Ultras, they get that chitinous plating really, really fast. So you have 4 or 5 armor. Excuse me. You have 4 or 5 armor. On top of that, they're able to synergize a lot better with the infestors, I feel like. You know, when you use Broodlords, normally you have to be attacking into a position, right? That's where they're best, when you're attacking, and then the Marines don't have anywhere to go because they're the ones saying, okay, I need to hold this position, normally against like a planetary fortress or an orbital command center. But when you go ultras, they're a lot more fluid. They're a lot more mobile. So you can, go over, defend this area, never be really out of position. I feel like that would have been a much better tech in that particular situation. But, we'll never know. Masa just absolutely taking advantage of Morrow.
That's right. And guys, you can take advantage of a great deal going on our website, nasl.tv/p/squarespace, where you can get your own space for a website if you need to. Of course, you can just check it out to see what kind of offer they get. Maybe you can recommend it to a friend as well. Why don't you do that while we take a quick commercial break? When we come back, a nice little segment provided by Mr. Rotterdam. Actually, no, it's just Rotterdam. As well as DRG versus Polt, the match that you guys have been waiting for. I've been waiting for, Andre. I posted on some community websites about this match. I'm super excited. So in 2 minutes, we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Don't change the channel. We'll be back in a minute.